And we will call our Scott County Fiscal Court business meeting to order. Today is the 26th day of March 2026, and I'd like to ask you all to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Let us pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Before we move forward, this past week has been kind of rough on our school system students with the loss of a young man named Case. He was a student at Great Crossing High School. And from all accounts, I did not know the young man, but from all accounts, just was a wonderful young man and loved by many. And I was just going to offer up to have a moment of silence for the young man and his family, and prayers for strength and peace and comfort for them. Just can't imagine that situation. So if y'all would join me, I would surely appreciate it. Thank you all. With that said, our next item on the agenda is to appoint Kara Oliver as our temporary court clerk. Motion. Second. Kara did ask if there would be any contract considerations in this.
Make a motion.
So we do have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. So, Kara, no takebacks for this meeting. Will you call the roll?
I will. Mr. Hostetler?
Present.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mr. Wallace? Mr. Corman?
Present.
Mr. Ellison?
Here.
Mr. Pratt?
Here.
Mr. Livingston? Mr. Culbertson?
Here.
And Judge Covington.
Present.
Oh, there.
What about that?
Right on.
Let the record reflect.
Police from here to Harlan County, they're coming for me.
All right. Let the record reflect that Mr. Livingston is present, and we do have a quorum and can conduct business. So the first item of consideration is the minutes of our previous meeting. Would there be a motion to accept? Motion from David Livingston. Second from Rob Jones. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next item are the transfers as presented from Michelle Ray, our treasurer. Any comments or questions related to those transfers as presented?
No questions. Motion, Judge.
Motion. Second, Ryan Pratt. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Leads us to number 7, bills and hand checks as presented. Any questions related to any bills or hand checks? Motion from Kelly Corman. Second from Dwayne Ellison. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Leads us to let the record reflect that Sheriff Jeremy Nettles, being a student of his craft, completed the training units required for him on an annual basis. Congratulations to our Sheriff Jeremy Nettles. That leads us to number 9, EMS new hires.
Yes, good evening. On behalf of Chief Running and Assistant Chief Ware, I'm pleased to recommend the appointment of 3 new employees in the department. 2 are paramedics, Danielle Eilerman and Lily Wilson. They'll both start on April 6th at the pay rates will both be $18.94 an hour. Danielle has more than 6 years of experience in the field, and Lily has an associate's degree in paramedicine and a bachelor's in psychology. And she's also been employed with the local department for many more years. And the last of the group is kind of short. We have been working with us on a part-time basis. She'll move to a full-time position as the EMT First start date as on a full-time basis will be April 11th. Pay rate for first 14.56 now. So present that recommendation for.
Rick Hostetler.
Well, I'll make the motion, but also, quick question. I see that this brings them back up to full staff. I think that was the comment at the end of the email. Like the folks that they're replacing, is there retirements or people moving on or?
There weren't any retirements. One was, well, we had a couple people who just voluntarily quit. One was for some health issues. Another one was, I don't remember, it's escaping me now. But one was, well, he's going to flight medic. Wasn't that what he's doing? Houston Barry? Yes, he's going to flight medic. And then we had the one that.
Is that Ryan Pratt's company?
Oh, I guess.
Chris, where did he go to? Did we steal him?
Yeah.
Did we steal him? I don't know.
I don't know, because he didn't work his 2 weeks, so I didn't chance to call him.
And you always communicate and ask for an exit survey.
Every single one of them. Sometimes they respond, sometimes they don't. So I do make an effort to learn more about their experience and what went well, what didn't go well, and what we could do better.
So those openings kind of came about in a short window of time, it sounds like?
And this was not normal. I mean, I know you probably wonder why we've had some trouble, but please remember, we did add those 3 new positions. So some of the hiring lately has been to fill those 3 new positions in the fourth year as well.
I mean, it's just the nature of the beast, though, with this. I mean, with your positions, they're going to get cherry picked by other agencies all the time.
None of them, we didn't lose any at the hospital.
Not yet.
But
And an average turnover rate is going to be about 15%, just no matter what you do. So you're looking at probably losing about 8 people or so every year, just normal turnover.
Yeah. Well, they just pick another path and they can do that, right? So I was just wondering, but it just seemed like a lot right there together. So
It takes a unique person to do that job anyway, because I wouldn't want to do it, that's for sure, Ryan. I just couldn't do that job.
so we have a motion.
I'll second.
Second, any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. And then number 10, let the record reflect that Jailer Broyles has submitted the detention center draft budget, and that requirement has been met. And Jailer Broyles, you had sent me a text that you had some additional information about that fire panel, and I did not get back to you. I apologize, but that's one of the draft budget requests. That's kind of like a non-negotiable, in my opinion. We got to fix that fire panel, and Joe Broyles' budgets are always very conservative, and appreciate that. So, you like to make any comment?
Yeah, if I can, just to bring you up to speed. After meeting with the budget committee, the fire panel controls the fire sensors on both sides of our building. And
that's the judicial center part and the corrections part.
Right, yes, it's original equipment to the building, so it's about 35 years old. It's kind of run its lifespan. We started having a few issues out of it. And so we had contacted the company that does all the fire inspections anyway right now, does this kind of work. And so we asked them for just a very general kind of idea as to how much they thought it would cost. Obviously, we got to do an RFP once we are serious about putting it out there and getting bids to replace it. But this company does this kind of work. We initially got a quote, which I put in the draft budget, of about $130,000. Well, they came in about a week ago and did a hands-on kind of look at it. And I did not have that information back for our meeting with the budget committee yesterday. I have since gotten the information back. And instead of 130, they're estimating 350 to 450.
Wow.
But that's both sides.
That's both sides of the building.
And when will the judicial center? I mean,
And this was a topic of discussion at the budget committee. Could the fire panel be separated and be?
You won't know that.
I mean, you're shaking your head.
Hey, oh yeah, anything can be done for a friend for a fee.
For free?
No, for a fee.
Oh, I thought he was volunteering to do it.
He was.
And I did
That's what I
ask the
heard.
company, and they, not to interrupt you, Mr. Hostetler, but I did ask the company, per the budget committee's request, would it be doable and would it be cost effective to separate the sides? And they said it would not. It would be more cost effective to do it all under one system. So,
So they increased that budget estimate. There was discussion, well, since AOC is operating in the judicial side, but I'll just be honest, I do not see them making any contribution because we're going to exit that building within months of when.
Yeah, if you went through this process, you might even be out by the.
Yeah.
By the time,
I don't know what.
I mean,
what
we'll
your- I
have to
don't
put
know
an
what your
RFP
target date
together, have to be very specific about the specs. That's above my pay grade. But we'll navigate it, but we'll have to ask Michelle to update those estimates in the reflection. It might move out to the capital. You're shaking your head, leave it where it's at. But we'll talk about that. And I really appreciate you coming and sharing that.
Who's the company?
Amtech.
Can I ask a quick question?
Well,
So,
certainly, magistrate.
are we, and I forget how this works with AOC, are we still responsible for the expenses of the current Justice Center?
Yeah, like we still AOC pays for maintenance.
Okay, so could we not,
we can make a request and see what happens, but I just was trying to be realistic in my thought that I don't see them making any
exiting that
contribution.
but we're not gone yet?
Oh, yeah.
I
It will
mean,
be by the time we do this.
So
Even if we put out an RFP today, I mean, you're gonna have to.
is it bad enough to declare an emergency?
Is it not working or is it just not working?
David, that's a.
I mean,
that-
I'm
no,
serious.
that's a
Is
fair
it bad
question.
enough to declare an emergency and avoid that process?
I mean, that is a
Well, you gotta be
fair.
careful too about avoiding the process.
Well, it's not declaring emergency, but is it a scenario where it needs to be done and we can't wait for an 8-week?
Right, but you also, I mean, I've only heard good things about Amtech and whatever, but, there's a ton of other companies that
Yes.
would throw a number at you.
Yeah.
And it might bring that number down too, that do good work and do it all over the time, I mean, we do this all the time.
Darren, could you give David and the rest of us just a, I think David's question is a very fair question, good question, which would be very important to the whole process. But, it's functioning now, but go ahead.
It's functioning, but we're having problems out of it.
Is it a life safety issue, Jailer Broyles?
Yes.
Daggone insurance guy.
I'm just saying, it's a life safety issue. We
That's what makes
have
it
people
emergency.
living in that building.
But when it malfunctions, you call for service, and it's just repeated malfunctions that's got us to where we're at. And it's, so, I mean, we can talk about it and investigate it next, tomorrow.
I don't mean to stir it up, but I mean, if it's a life safety issue and if AOC is still having to pay maintenance, we need to get this thing taken care of.
Do they reimburse you if you call in people right now? Is that how that works?
AOC,
Yeah.
that goes to.
Stacy.
the judge's office.
Yeah.
Okay.
If we determine it, or deem it to be what we
J-
think is.
JR was going.
You gotta get pre-approval through AOC. on
So
things
much,
like that and run
anything
it.
over a certain level, we have to get pre-approved.
Yes.
Thank you, JR, for having that institutional comment.
Yes, we send that also to the judge's office.
Yeah. So, we'll check with Stacy in the morning. We'll try to run it up the flagpole.
It's gonna drag out. Should we start considering what we're gonna do with that building once they move out?
Well,
Should we start having some conversations on that?
we've had some conversations and talked about the first floor, in my opinion, and what we've talked about is for administrative purposes for the jail. The second and third floor, we've talked about asking
Who's we?
Brand.
Who's we?
We've had them here. We've had conversations here.
I don't remember discussing it, so I must have been.
You
I've
might have been
here
gone,
that time.
but
Yeah, I must have been in Egypt on that day.
But we talked about the second and third floor, possibly getting Branstad or Carroll to give us a, what would a floor plan look like, remodeling the courtrooms to be office space for like planning and zoning or.
Oh, okay.
So
That's my thought.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
that was the conversation.
That's if we're gonna do remodeling, should we tie this into that at the same time?
Yeah. But if it's an
emergency, it's emergency. I understand.
I will say, they're talking about replacement of the whole system, so that's the wiring in the walls and all of that, as well as the sensors, as well as the control panel.
They're have to drop drop all your ceilings and go through all the, yeah.
I mean, I'm asking a crazy question. It's 2026. Like, can we not have like wireless
No,
stuff?
I wouldn't.
Well, I'll take up the question tomorrow with Stacy and then reach out to AOC about it, and then I'll let everybody know what's said.
Did you want me to ask that, Mr. Pratt? Because I don't think wireless is into the discussion.
For life safety because of the interruptions and whatnot that could happen.
I know it hasn't been part of any discussion.
The wired system seems to be having interruptions, so.
I'd say all the downstairs that don't.
Gerald Brors, thank you. Next, ordinance 2602, first reading. I shared, Cam shared this summary and the ordinance, and essentially, Windstream, this is related to a formal change of name, an LLC, and for them to legally operate in the right-of-way, they have to re-up this request in this. And Ryan had a question today about, is there a opportunity to realize some revenue from a franchise fee? And from what Cam and I have gathered, and then I was at Keiko today. I was going to ask Rich Ornstein. Rich Ornstein wasn't there at our executive board meeting, but I got to talk to Dan Mosley, who is the Harlan County judge, and they just did this in December, and we were he just discussed the same question, and you cannot realize any revenue because of we don't participate. Michelle did a little research as well. We don't participate in the state telecom excise tax. We don't realize any from that. Cam, you want to add to that?
No, I think that sums it up. This request comes, the attorney that sent us the request is Mark Guilfoyle, who represents the company that's seeking this, and then he's got a partner, Ryan Berger, that I think is maybe on Zoom, in case anybody had questions. There he is.
Hey, there he is. Good afternoon. Thank you for being with us. We can't hear you.
Yes, Brian Berger, I'm at DBL Law up in Covington.
There it is.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Now we can.
Okay. I appreciate you all having me. Judge, what you had said is all accurate. I'm here to answer any questions, but if you don't mind, I'll make it brief. But the reason we're requesting this is the fact that Windstream is not changing ownership. They are trying to do some refinancing work, and we're not general counsel. We're here on this specific project only, and I've been all over the state to tell this story. And what happened is, whoever the financier is to help Windstream, add to their company, they went through all the documentation and come to find out that I think there's 85 jurisdictions, cities, counties across the Commonwealth that don't have the proper paperwork in place that's required by the Constitution of Kentucky. So we're not asking to come in and change anything. Don't plan on doing anything. It's more of a documentation type of thing, and we're asking that you all put this ordinance in place that, by the way, doesn't apply to Windstream. It's a general ordinance that the county would put in for any telecommunications company. We're not asking for anything exclusive to our name or company, which has been important for me to stress where I've been in the last 6 months throughout the state. So again, happy to answer any questions, but it's more of a requirement by the Kentucky Constitution that we are just trying to properly paper throughout the Commonwealth.
Questions or comments related to the, what has been shared, and I tried to share a summary of it, tell me if I'm correct. This is a 10-year term, correct?
That would be for our application, and yes, that's what the ordinance says, and certainly you all as the fiscal court have the opportunity to modify that, and while I've got you, what I will tell you is, I know that it's lengthy and cumbersome, but we did that for a reason, and Mr. Culbertson may be able to share some of these facts with you all, but we put in here about the fact that everything's got to be cohesive, that there's got to be proper responses if there's a down line or poll. I dealt with, for example, Campbellsville. They already had one in place. They called me back and said, we've got this, and it was a 1.5-page ordinance, and they said, can we use this? We said yes. The reason this is fairly long is we wanted to be able to provide, some responsibility from at least our end on, the maintenance, the et cetera. But yes, the application, if you were to read today and then read and pass it, we would then apply for a 10-year telecommunications license with the county. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So any questions or comments, and I'll ask Cam just to read the summary, and then we'll ask one more time for any questions or comments.
All right, ordinance summary, Scott County, Kentucky, ordinance number 2602, creating a franchise for the operation and maintenance of a telecommunications non-cable system in Scott County, Kentucky, setting forth conditions accompanying the grant of franchise and providing for the regulation and use of said system. Whereas the Scott County Fiscal Court is authorized and empowered to award telecommunications franchises, and whereas the Scott County Fiscal Court has found and determined that the construction, operation, maintenance, and utilization of a telecommunication franchise over, across, or under public right-of-way in Scott County benefits the citizens it serves, and whereas in order to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Scott County, Kentucky, to protect and preserve Scott County's public right-of-way and infrastructure, and to provide for the orderly administration of the franchise contemplated herein, it is necessary and appropriate to require the successful franchisee to conduct its business and operations in a lawful manner in compliance with the terms and conditions set forth herein below. Be it ordained by the Scott County, Kentucky Fiscal Court that the following ordinance is enacted and summarized. An ordinance creating and granting a non-exclusive franchise for the operation and maintenance of a telecommunications non-cable system pursuant to the Kentucky Constitution, Section 163 and Section 164, and providing in detail for the following: 1, creation of franchise; 2, existing legislation; 3, definitions; 4, applications; 5, rights under franchise; 6, standards; 7, moving permits and tree trimming; 8, bonds; 9, indemnification; 10, insurance; 11, non-discrimination and affirmative action; 12, transfer of control and general rate cases; 13, franchise duration; 14, penalties; 15, maintenance of telecommunication system; 16, right to terminate and cancel the franchise; 17, foreclosure or other judicial sale; 18, government's rights after the appointment of a receiver or trustee; 19, advertising for bids; 20, bid process; 21, compensation; 22, additional requirements; 23, performance bond; 24, discontinuing use of facilities; 25, offers of payment; 26, forfeiture; 27, governing law; 28, non-enforcement by the government; 29, agent; 30, third parties; 31, resolution of inconsistencies with federal or state rules, regulations, or laws; 32, relief from this ordinance; 33, aesthetic standards. The full text of this ordinance is available for examination at the office of the Scott Fiscal Court Clerk, 101 East Main Street, Georgetown, Kentucky, 40324, introduced and publicly read for the first time, March 26th, 2026.
Questions or comments?
So, what is it that we've been missing for so long that, like, it's a huge document,
Yeah.
It is.
and I kind of understand what it is, but I don't really understand, like, how we've gotten by without all of this before. Like, if this is something required in our Constitution, like, why is this, like, what, all of this has been missing? Like, all of this is required for us to do now?
Are you directing that question to me, Magistrate?
Can
I
you
just-
shine a light on that?
Yeah, if you don't
I'm sorry?
mind.
Yes.
So it is a lengthy document, and as I was pointing to a different jurisdiction, for example, Campbellsville, theirs was not this lengthy, but it doesn't have all of the guardrails that this does. As the council read off, I mean, it talks about it requires whoever applies to follow these guidelines. We can certainly request that you pass a general telecommunications ordinance that just says that you have to apply and here's the application process and that's it. And that's certainly for you all to debate, but we put some, proverbial meat on the bone that protects your jurisdiction if those things aren't properly taken care of. If this ordinance was passed with just, for example, just a general ordinance, you all may not have the ability to go after any telecommunications company, or you can, but have some issues. If, for example, there's a line down, there's an emergency, there is a protocol in this document that directs whoever applies and you award a franchise that they have to do all of these things.
So any existing franchise that's operating would be under the old ordinance, or would they have to fall under these new rules?
Well, it's my understanding you don't have an ordinance. That's why we're proposing one.
So
they're
Okay.
So we're proposing this language. We're not opposed to any change or modification in the language. This was just our lengthy draft to show that we're willing to do this. I can't tell you why there wasn't one in place. I mean, it clearly there hasn't been one in place in numerous, almost 100 jurisdictions throughout Kentucky that my office is dealing with. It could have been one of those things where years ago it just companies came in and nobody followed the proper procedure, whether it be the company and or the jurisdiction. We're just trying to tidy up from our end, putting these records in place.
And this will be a first reading. Of course, you don't want any changes of substance between now and the second reading, but if something comes up between now and then, we can address it and go from there. Any other questions or comments? Would there be a motion to approve?
I guess we don't have an option, right?
No, I mean, if we don't, but this, I'll go along. I mean, this is protecting the county, and it lays out.
I guess we're all just scared that it's a lie. It's like fine.
Cam, have you read the full ordinance?
I have.
Did you have any questions about the
I didn't have any issues with it. I don't disagree that I didn't, to be blunt, didn't see anywhere where we were getting screwed in there. It seemed fine. It is fairly lengthy. But if you do whatever you want. If you want to advance it to a second reading, you can scrutinize it between now and then.
But let me ask you, you've been at 80 different jurisdictions you mentioned?
Well, there's three of us working on this. We've got a Louisville office, one of my partners down there, and then Mr. Guilfoyle, who we mentioned earlier. Yeah, we started, I think, with about 38 at the end of last year. We've worked on, they're not all finished, to be clear, and then we've got about 50 this year. And I agree with Mr. Culbertson. But first of all, to be clear, this is not a ordinance that only applies to my clients.
Yes.
It's anybody that would come into your jurisdiction. I don't know what other telecommunications might be down there, but whether it would be Spectrum or Verizon or this, and nowhere in this document will you see the name Windstream. we just want to put put us in a position to apply for that franchise, and we proposed this as the ordinance. Again, I've seen other ordinances that were previously adopted that didn't have hardly any guiding language, so it's just, we just have to file an application before that jurisdiction.
Do you care to share any counties that you've worked with personally here in the last 6 months?
I can read off from a spreadsheet that here's who I'm dealing with. They're not just counties. So I'll go, I got about 15 of them on my tally. Bardwell, Bath County, City of Campbellsville, Carlisle County, City of Clarkson, Clay County, Grace, and City of Liberty. I'm happy to share.
No, you don't have to share anymore. But okay. As I said before we started this conversation, I sat today with Dan Mosley, who's Judge Executive in Harlan County, and they just went through this exact same process and passed this. I'm sure it's the same ordinance.
I think Madison did as well.
And I think Madison County was listed in something I saw as well as.
Are you using this same one in all these districts that you're going to? This same?
Yes, sir. Sorry to interrupt you. Absolutely, the same one is going. What I will tell you is we're open to strike certain language, and we've had discussions. I've had jurisdictions say, "Why does it have to be so long?" And I defer to that jurisdiction's counsel. But yeah, it's identical. The first proposal to each of these jurisdictions looks just like this.
Well, my comments, a couple comments. If this is a constitutional thing, then it seems like we have to do something. Am I thinking about that wrong, Cam?
That's my understanding.
Well, we're enacting some framework for people that want to operate
right
or do business,
but that'll
in the
put
right
us in
of
line
way
with our Kentucky Constitution,
Yeah.
right? And our
yeah.
And this is a first reading, so I'll make a motion, and that'll give us some more time, and it'd be welcomed if for my part, if he's here for our second reading, if he's available.
Okay.
If you're available.
Of course. It would most likely be Mr. Guilfoyle. This is one of his jurisdictions, but we would be more than happy to have a personal appearance to answer any questions, concerns. And in the meantime, I know that Mr. Culbert's been communicating with him. Just send us whatever you have. We're happy to open dialogue.
Yeah, no problem.
Appreciate it. So we have a motion.
I'll second.
Second. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And if there's any other, we'll try to give some, if there's any additional questions, and I'll try to do a little bit more research myself about if we have anything existing on the books. Stacy did not mention it, and she would have. We'll dig on that as well. Thank you for being with us, and very helpful for being with us. Thank you.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you allowing me to be here, and you all have a great evening.
Yes,
Take
sir.
care.
Moving down, that's Fire Department mutual aid renewal for sales for Fire Department. And John, would you like to speak to this?
Thank you, Judge. It's a basic renewal of the mutual aid agreement between us and the Shell Fire Department.
Were they going to chip in on any of these trucks we just bought?
Probably not.
But it's just a renewal, and it's pretty much the same document.
Versailles is actually a member of the bird team, same we are as well.
That's the Bluegrass
Emergency Response. And then coming up in April, Versailles is putting on they got a grant to put on a structural technician class. That's an 80-hour class. Very hard class to get into because of just the amount of money it takes to put on that class. And we've got 2 of our members that will be attending that training.
And that helps because we're part of that consortium.
Part of that bird team.
Yes.
Motion.
Motion? Second. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, sir. The first was made by Dwayne. Yes, ma'am. Madam Clerk. Next, just some new business. I'm going to ask Jeff to kick off the new business conversation with Senate Bill 10. We shared an email about how this might impact some county government employees, and I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. Yeah, we have, Senate Bill 10 was approved last year. What it does is it enhances the retirement benefit for people who meet the career threshold service requirements. So that's people who have either the 25 years or 27 years in retirement, or in service to be able to retire or full retirement. And let's see here. And what that does is, like right now, they get about a $15 contribution per month per year of service. So right now, the benefit or the contribution they get is somewhere around $300 to $400 a month. Well, what this legislation did is increase that to about $1,000 per month. So it's a very positive enhancement to the retirement benefit. And it makes your ability to retire and to be able to have income in your retirement years more likely. What also is important to note, though, is to fund this, starting July 1 of 2026, employees' health insurance contributions are going to go up by 1% for most groups. The group it doesn't affect is those that are in non-hazardous duty. But anybody that's in hazardous duty within,
It does affect hazardous duty.
What's that?
It does affect some non-hazardous.
It does affect some, but primarily the hazardous duty folks is. I wrote it down here.
You had shared a percentage with me of all our employees.
Well, I'll get to that too, but it affects every hazardous duty position hired within the last 18 years. So it's about, I did a quick calculation, it's about 70 to 75% of our workforce is going to be affected by this increase. And why this is important, one, I want us to get out in front of it. Now, interesting enough, KPPA, I noticed, just sent out an email about this today to membership. So if you all keep an eye on the emails coming from KPPA, you got one today. Just reminding people of that. But I think we also need to be reminding our employees that this is coming so they can start adjusting for it financially if they need to. And what's tough for us is that here we are trying to stay on top of compensation and offer a good cost of living increase. And regardless of whatever the court and the budget committee decides, whether that be 3%, 3.5%, 4%, whatever the number is, let's take a separate example. If it's 3.5%, then you're only going to realize a 2.5% increase if you have to increase your contribution to the health insurance fund by 1%. So what I don't want employees to say was, I thought we got a 3.5% increase, and all I got was 2.5%. So I just want to help educate people to let people know that that's coming.
We did not want, not to have this information.
July 1.
But it's increasing their retirement benefits, but they're also from their CRS too, but they're only taking 1% from health insurance?
Well, your health insurance contribution is going to go up by 1%.
You either pay 5 or 6% currently. Everybody will be now be 6 and 7%.
And 1% right now goes towards health insurance. It's just that there'll be another percent coming to health insurance contribution.
What Carrie just said, I think, is the best way to look at it. You pay what now?
Non-hazardous is 5% or 6%. Hazardous is 8%, 9%. Now it's going to be 6 and 7, 9 and 10.
But that includes the retirement contribution.
Yeah.
It's part of its retirement contribution, part of its health insurance.
Yeah, part of it's retirement. So they're not funding the retirement contribution part though, just the health insurance part.
And here's a couple other numbers, and I think this is the numbers that we were talking about, is, what I then look at is, well, who will this have a positive impact on? And just kind of put it in framework, we have 290 employees, and the median length of employment of our current workforce is 3 years and 5 months. The average is 5 years and 10 months. The median, and then that's the average. When you start then looking at, tenure, 55 of our 290 employees have been here more than 10 years. And only 31 of our 290 have been here more than 15 years. So you start looking at, well, if a person does reach the career threshold service requirement of either 25 or 27 years, how many people are going to get to that number? And if I was just guessing, probably it's in that 20 to 25% range who would truly retire and actually realize the benefit that comes from this. But everybody's going to be paying the 1% increase.
So this was just for your all's knowledge, and that, as we're going through this budget conversation about cost of living adjustments, this should be part of that conversation. And just that was the whole purpose. Any questions? Jeff, do you want to stay right there and talk about the drug-free policy?
I'm glad to stay here and talk about
Yeah. So
1 second, Judge, can we go back?
Yeah.
Sure.
Do you mind to send some of those numbers you just, about how many are staying 15 and how many, just to,
I'd be glad to.
yeah.
Now, that's
I know they're all estimates and,
Now, this is not, I'm not factoring in if a person maybe came to us and had other prior service. This is just their tenure with us. And I'm not, so I don't know if a person maybe had a few years someplace else.
But I think those are fair numbers.
Yes, they're absolutely fair.
Yeah. And then,
it's just something to think of.
yeah. And then on this, anything else, Rick?
No, sir.
All right. On this drug-free policy, from our last meeting, in an effort to be responsive to the concerns about the accident language that was in there, and what would key a test, Jeff made adjustments to that language, and we shared that in file. And then the other piece of it is if it's the pleasure of the court that all employees be subject to random testing at some time, then that's what we can consider. I had discussed, in my background, we started random drug testing at Scott County High School with student athletes and drivers. Driving was a privilege and is a privilege, so that put them into that group. I don't disagree with, the possibility of testing all as a option, but I wanted the court. My preference would be like July 1, we have new group, but not all of us, and then January 1 we do the rest. It gives us an opportunity to just go through the process without. We're not trying to eat the elephant all at once. So let's just play the game. If we did EMS, fire, and any other road department that weren't on CDL, then they could do that, and starting in July and be part of that process. And then in January, any and all of the rest, whatever the pleasure of the court was. So that was, but if the court wants to do it all July 1, that's the pleasure of the court. And then I wanted Cam to talk about the email that he shared from David's questions about elected officials. And you want to share?
No, it's a good question. And I did some research, and I also called Rich Ornstein and basically confirmed what I found from my research. It can't be required. Participation would be purely voluntary. And my guess is myself and almost all of us, if not all of us, would volunteer to do that. But the reason it can't be required is just one, elected officials aren't county employees, and then two, the duties and responsibilities of elected officials are constitutional, and so like a fiscal court or a local, can't add or subtract those duties. And there's also a U.S. Supreme Court case that said you couldn't randomly drug test candidates. There's several reasons I put in my email, but I think it's, though, as Mr. Ellison said, good from a leadership standpoint. Folks volunteer to do that, so that's kind of
Constitutional amendment.
Well, you could do that, I guess.
But when we get closer to this period, like if Jeff sent out an email to any elected official, do you desire to be a part of the testing pool? Then you respond and put yourself in the pool or not. I would put myself in the pool. Why not? But that's a decision you all have to make, and that's your decision. But that's an answer to the question that was brought up at the last meeting, we wanted to address that publicly and share the facts and data. So then any other comments you want to make about the changes that you made in the one section?
Well, just with the post-accident screening, I did share with the team that was helping develop the draft. I also shared it with the safety committee. I asked if they had any, feedback or input or things that they see that could be a snag, but there were no comments. People seemed to be supportive of it, so that's why I shared it with the board.
And as I said in my email, I do not want to consider a vote tonight. I was just trying to move the conversation along.
One question.
Yes, sir.
So you said like a certain group in July and then the rest.
Like,
why would you do that again? I'm not clear on that.
Just so, like when they go to get tested, we're not like
bombarding them.
We're gradually adding. We'll add this group in July, and then in January add the rest. And it's not like we're making just a considerably increased volume of tests.
Well, it helps us manage the workload too. I mean, there's going to be more responsibility in our office too to help with that, especially if there's a positive screening.
But gradually, we would try to have all county employees.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the pleasure of the court, and I would support that if that's what the court wants to do. But I was recommending a phased approach in July, 3 departments, and then in January the rest. And then one factor that I still have a question about is there's a cost to this.
Yeah.
And we need to get a little bit more, like you could give us more information about cost as well.
Right, and it's honestly about $40, $50 a screen. So it's not cost cumbersome like this.
Yeah.
Just like they go to a facility to do that.
Yeah, and they would go to Bluegrass Business Health.
Right, which is now Centerpoint Business Health.
Which is now Centerpoint. Yeah. And Rob, the other piece of it is like they would have to have the staff to be able to handle the volume of what we're sending to them as well. That's part of it.
I mean, but it'd be random, wouldn't it?
It's always random.
Okay.
It's random.
They'll be our partner because they'll actually be the ones that are.
They generate the lists. We give them the roster, but they generate the list randomly. And there's so many per department on the test packet.
They would be in control of
right.
that.
We would have nothing to do with it. It's totally blind on our side. It would be totally their function.
Is that a contract we have to do with them or something?
I'm sure we've already got a contract for testing with them.
I mean, they're doing our critical physicals and everything, and drug screening and things now. So I don't really need to have a separate contract.
So, as I said, I did not want to ask for a vote on this tonight. I just wanted to move the conversation. We gave you more data. We tried to answer questions that you all had at our last meeting. Anything else? Or I'll turn Jeff loose to sit down.
No, I do appreciate your work, and I like the language for the motor vehicle, both the 2 and single vehicle, and I like the something I didn't think about if somebody can take them there, obviously. So if they're not transported, so I like a lot of that language.
And it still leaves the supervisor with the discretion. If they're unsure,
they can still send them.
Right.
Thank you, Jeff.
Well,
I'm sorry, Rick.
That's okay. I'm just going back through the numbers again, and we're talking about the cost, and so it looks like if I'm in the right one, they're going to test 10% annually.
For alcohol, 20% for drugs.
Yes.
So if you were to look at that, if we were to do it organization-wide, you're looking at 58 people if you do 20% of 290.
But you'll do each of that a month, so you're talking
right. You want
five a month.
Yeah, and you're going to do them. We're probably going to do them on a quarterly basis.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I don't honestly think it would be that big a deal to add everybody all together. You're talking
10 people. And I said, if that's the pleasure of the court, then let's do them all at once. I'm just, from my experience, there's always, you kind of learn as you go, and
I would highly recommend a phased approach if we could do that.
and we can come back and talk about that at the next workshop next week. Any other additional information that anybody wants before we leave this topic? With that said, thank you. JR, will you help me? I wanted to give everybody an update on Mount Horeb and North Race Fork. JR and I have visited these sites, but JR's been on top of it quite a bit. And can you give them an update on North Race Fork, kind of the status right now?
Yes, North Race Fork is open to traffic. We removed all the barricades, got the temporary guardrails up to be safe. No paving as of yet. The paving companies have not opened up the plants yet. We probably just as soon as plant opens. They're pouring a head wall footers. We were out there a couple of days ago when they're going full steam on Mount Horeb. So the beams will be in first week of April, I think.
They told us that April 6th, they would have the abutments poured and the beams set on April 6th. Now, this has been about a month ago, right? But like JR and I were out there earlier this week, that is a big span.
80-foot span.
And they have dug for these abutments, and the forms are huge. And I had no clue how big they would be, but this is it's a massive bridge.
Is that going to be those big long concrete span things?
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to sit out there and just watch that run through there just to see how they get in there.
Yeah. But they're going to have to I think back down the road. I don't know. But it's like out there on Mount Horeb, they might have to choose which way they come in, but there's one real sharp curve. Like, I don't know, I don't know how they'll do that without getting out in the road.
How would you get it? Like, what does it even fit on?
They've got special
trailer
wheels.
But 80 feet long?
Yeah, they set this on.
You just drive up into the mountains and see where they put them 80-foot mobile homes. You'll figure out how to do it.
So, I just wanted everybody to have an update on those. Any other questions for JR?
It is moving finally pretty good. It is,
I know people are thankful that North Race Fork's open.
And as soon as the asphalt plant opens, they're scheduled to go and install the asphalt and then the permanent approach guardrailing and that kind of stuff. So.
Two other quick things.
Yes, sir.
Kentucky Department of Fish and Wildlife extended the ramp at Great Crossings, making it a lot safer, a lot easier to put kayaks, canoes, john boats, and
They poured that today, didn't they?
They poured it yesterday.
Yes, I seen it looked pretty new when I drove by today.
And Swartz Contracting will be here Monday to start the countywide pickup of trash.
Left Aaron Street on the highway, the interstate.
Durant and his guys have been doing great on picking the closer proximity around here.
Yeah. But thank you, JR. And the Swartz, the partnership with them, and then JR's team working along with City Public Works, to pick up all the bags, just to do this sweep and using that litter abatement money, I think is such a big thing for our community. And I really think it's a good thing we do. And I appreciate JR's work on that and Jared's.
A lot of counties are modeling after what JR and the team put in place. So
No.
It's been a really good model.
Yeah. And if any of y'all know of like spots that we need to point Swartz to, let us know and we'll make sure to do that. Like Lyle Road is like
Catches all the trash, doesn't it?
Way always needs it because
Wayne, yes.
So, next thing on new business is, I was going to ask Cam just to share an update from David Spinard about the Bluegrass Water rate case and what's going on there. So, Cam, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay. Yeah, I asked Mr. Spinard to send a memo out kind of as an update, which he did earlier this week, and I shared that with the court. As I think everyone knows, Bluegrass Water has filed their application for wastewater and water rate increases, and that's pending before the Public Service Commission. And Scott County, as everyone knows, has filed a motion to intervene that's voted on by this court. Scott County has retained an expert witness and consulting group called Brubaker and Associates, or BAI, to offer expert analysis and testimony concerning Bluegrass Water's proposed rate design, and you all have approved that. And the Attorney General's office and Scott County are sharing an expert witness consulting group called Larkin and Associates to offer analysis and testimony concerning Bluegrass Water's proposed revenue requirement. So essentially, there's been a lot of filings in the case, a ton of public comment, and it's kind of in the discovery stage of the case where the Public Service Commission, Scott County, the Attorney General's office have submitted requests for information from Bluegrass Water, and that's kind of where we are. On March 16th, Bluegrass Water filed a motion for an informal conference with this PSC staff. That was held virtually, and Strobo Barkley, our attorneys, attended that, participated, and Bluegrass Water essentially, it sounds like they're asking to amend the application due to some sort of financial errors, and so that's going to have the effect of restarting the statutory dates for processing the case and cause new dates. So Bluegrass Water has proposed a new schedule, which is attached to this memo, for basically just a schedule of when they have to file stuff, when requests for information get filed, when responses have to be filed, et cetera, with a proposed public hearing date and the whole thing on or after August 17th. So the gist of it, I guess the upshot is it's all kind of getting punted down the road somewhat. But that's kind of where we are, and that's, if there's any questions.
We don't know for sure it's been punted though yet, right? Like
That is
they've
correct.
asked for that. But that doesn't
You're
mean
right.
we got it.
That's fair to say. Mr. Spinard indicated that
They'll
it was
probably
likely
let
to
it.
be something close to that. But yeah, no, there's not been an order entered by the commission that formally sets the dates.
Did he, I noticed in that email, he didn't really say, so did Bluegrass Water, were their rates too high or too low? Like they went to adjust them higher than what they asked for
I'm
or
not
lower?
clear on the exact nature of I don't know that we'll know the exact nature of the, whatever the errors were until they file their amended application, Ryan. That's a good question.
I didn't know if they were like, oh man, we've made these too high, we
I
need to
think
bring
we're
them
kind of in
down.
wait and see mode on that.
So,
I would doubt they would say that.
Rick and I have had conversations, and this is a question, I don't know if Cam can answer. Cam won't be able to answer this today, but perhaps Cam can run this up the flagpole to David Spinard. The billing practices that Bluegrass Water has is, instead of by volume, they have a flat rate regardless. And Rick, that's really your...
It is, and to add to that, and I have to apologize, I've been trying to find this. I have found they're wanting to increase, I'm using round numbers, okay? I think and Mike is a customer, and maybe others, but right now, it went from $12.50 a month to $77. 2+ years ago, 2-ish years ago, right?
That's correct.
And then now they're asking for a 30-some, almost $40. I'm just going to use around. They're asking for somewhere between $110 to $114 or $15 a monthly rate. And then what I can't find, and I know I've got it, I know we've all got it, we've seen it. I think for the businesses over in behind the old grandma's kitchen, all of those folks, not only a monthly fee, if I'm remembering correctly, and I may not be, there's an additional Of water usage, actual, you use 10,000 gallons, it's so much 1,000 gallons.
There is a volume increase,
Right.
yes.
So, my first thought when I read that for this go around was, why isn't everybody, including the homeowner and the businesses, on a per 1,000 gallons or per whatever it may be, water usage fee?
Mm-hmm.
That's what the city of George, GMWSS, my understanding is, I have a septic field, so I don't see any of that. But theirs is a per 100 gallons or per 1,000 gallons, they charge X. GMWSS. I do own some property in Fayette County. That's what they do. It's based on the water bill. Your sewer bill is based on the water bill, which is usage, and not a flat monthly fee. So I've been approached by several constituents who are retired, and they don't stay in their home. They spend time in Florida 2-3 months. So they contribute nothing as far as usage, water, right? I've been made aware of some elderly folks that aren't even in their home for a whole year because they have health issues, and that's being dealt with. So there's not a drop of water running into it, but they're paying they're paying $77 right now, and they're not even home, and there's no usage. So I don't know how that gets addressed, Cam. I think we should talk to our attorneys that are representing and helping us.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works with the PSC, I guess. But I think we need to know if.
Okay, I'll convey that, and then also happy to maybe even facilitate a phone call if you want to.
Absolutely.
Have one with David, and probably ultimately that's going to come to the ultimate decision the PSC has to decide. But that's a real fair point that you're making.
Yeah, and I don't really know how that goes. Yeah. So, sure.
All right.
So that, to me, is a huge concern. And then I haven't talked to these folks, but I know that Aichi Forge uses a lot of water.
So I've been out there and met with them along with Jack.
Okay.
Just to let them know what we were doing, not just Aichi Forge, but several of those businesses in the Tri-Port area came to that meeting, and they were appreciative of the fiscal court and what we're doing to intervene. But it's a big impact on Aichi Forge. And Aichi Forge, along with several of those other businesses, were given the link to make public comment as well. And I believe they will.
And I'll make one other comment, because I had several folks that live in Moon Lake, and of course Deer Run is a part of it, and there may be a few other folks there that are part of the one that's over behind the old grandma's kitchen, that treatment facility. So I drove by there a couple of times in the last couple of weeks, and because they all said, well, we've never seen them in our neighborhood, but maybe once a year, and they look at this manhole, or they do this, or they do that. And so everybody's thinking they're not spending any money. Well, actually, I don't know how much they are doing, but there's a major upgrade going on at that. I will say that. I mean, I've seen it. I don't know the dollar amount or any of that kind of thing. So, but they are doing something at that plant. The one that's right on the side of the interstate. It's over and behind the old grandma's kitchen. Well, where Georgetown Public Works, where their property is, it's in that same little street and cul-de-sac. So there is some work going on there.
Yeah. Well, appreciate that update and appreciate the question. That's a good question. I have one more piece of new business, and then I'll be done. 2 days ago, I had a phone conversation with Haley Tipton. She took over for Stephanie Nelson for Senator McConnell, kind of as an area rep. And Senator McConnell has his version, or the Senate's version, of Congressman Barr's community project funding. They call it congressionally directed spending. There is the House side has a formal application and such. There is no formal application on the Senate side. It's simply submitting a letter of an outline or a narrative about a project with a request. And the deadline to submit this is before our next business meeting, and it's a short notice, but would you all want me to submit a letter of request for a project similar to what we did with Congressman Bars, but the only thing that I can come up with, or the best thing that I can come up with from doing a little research about the type of projects that have success is something, we've already done the water, and we also have pending a sewer project with Congressman Barr's office as well. The airport made a direct allocation request through Senator Nunn, Representative Hampton, and Representative Grossell for some funds from the state legislature for improvements of their fire suppression and extending water lines and adding hydrants. John and I have talked about that is a critical need out there. That's an issue that needs to be addressed, and that's led to this state allocation request. I don't know if that state allocation will be successful, that request. Would the court have any other suggestions, or would the court want me to draft a letter of request and send it on behalf of the fiscal court for some type of congressionally directed spending on behalf of the airport for improvements in their fire suppression system?
I don't know why we wouldn't do that. I think you should.
What are the other kind of categories that you could request? Like what other things have been?
Water, sanitary, and air. From what I've read, airports are pretty successful. And if you're talking about infrastructure at the airport for fire protection, it seems like that would be a good swing of the bat. Anybody have anything else that you all think, because we already have the sewer project to the north that's pending and being worked on. We've been awarded that, but we're working with the EPA, and that is a long, drawn-out process. And then we've made the request for the elevated storage tank through Congressman Barr's office to help address water pressure in the north as well. But if there's something else that you all think we could do, that's why I brought it up. And if Kelly, if you want to make a motion to direct me to submit that letter on behalf.
I would make that motion. I think it's a good idea.
Second.
Motion second. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Is there any public comment from anyone, or any comment from any magistrate? New business?
Judge, I got one thing.
Yes, sir.
You already know, I think the library. So the library's going to open a satellite office and stamping ground. So I'd like to invite all y'all down next Thursday on the 2nd at 12 o'clock. They're going to have the ribbon cutting, grand opening of the library. Be there every Thursday from 1 to 6. So it'll be on Main Street Stamping Ground. So.
And Sadieville has had great success with this, and I bet Stamping Ground will have great success there as well. So you can go to the library, ribbon cutting, and you think they'll be selling those new burgers at the new grocery store?
Oh, we got some new burgers at the store. I heard they're awesome. So
I've read that the new place is pretty great. So I'm going to try to hit it up and get me
big
a burger.
achievement for Stamping Ground. Get a grocery store back. So.
Any other new comment or new business or comment from any magistrate?
Finally.
Then with that said, then would there be a motion to adjourn? Motion from Kelly, second from Ryan. All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.